Nobody asked the strong one if she's okay. If you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you know exactly what that feels like. Not because the people around you don't care, because you've been so consistently fine that they stop thinking to check. In this video, I want to name what that actually cost you. Not just the exhaustion, something quieter than that and harder to recover from. I'm Sokuntha. I spent over 20 years in corporate leadership, reached director level, built a career I was proud of, and then, quietly, gradually burnt out. I built the stability under pressure method from what I lived and what I now see in every high-achieving woman I work with. At the end of this video, you will understand why the people who love you stopped asking, and why that is not a failure on their part or yours. Here's what happened when you are reliably strong. People calibrate around you, not consciously, not deliberately. They simply learn over time that you handle it, that if something needs carrying, you'll find a way, that you won't make it anyone else's problem. And so the check-ins quietly stop. The concerns go somewhere else, to the people who visibly need it, while you absorb more. Your needs didn't disappear, they become illegible. Not because they're not real, because your strength has made them invisible. I want to tell you about a period of my life that I haven't spoken often about. Because from the outside, it probably looked like I was managing. I was. That was exactly the problem. My marriage ended, and within weeks of that ending, I was running a guest house in Siem Reap that had never been my idea in the first place. My parents had moved from Phnom Penh to help me, and they came without hesitation. And I carried the weight of that, the gratitude and the shame at the same time, that I had pulled them into something that was never even mine to begin with. Then I found a job, the company I had stood inside at 20 years old, and promised myself that I would come back to it one day. It took me 15 years and a separation to get me there. So my days looked like this. I'd go to work at 8, and the job, the artisans, the mission that I had been loving from a distance for 15 years, all of that was my escape. And then I would come back home at 5:30, and the guest house was my guilt. My parents on the ground, welcoming guests, making breakfast, and me doing everything else. The communications, the booking, the client messages, until the evening was gone. Within 6 months of the separation, I had lost 20 kilos. Not because I was trying to, because that is what running on empty looks like when you will not stop. And here's the part that I think about most. When I look back at that time, my marriage has ended, my life had been turned upside down, I was holding the guest house, my parents, a new job, and a separation, all at once. I have 4 brothers and sisters, people who love me. And in all of that time, nobody really asked how I was doing with it. Maybe one sentence, if that. I'm not telling you this because they failed me. I'm telling you this because they didn't. They were doing exactly what the people around you do. They had learned over years that I handle it, that I deliver, that I don't fall apart. And so, when the most obvious moment arrived for someone to ask if I was okay, it didn't register as a crisis from the outside. because I didn't look like a crisis. I looked like someone who was managing. And I was. That was the problem. Here's what I want you to understand about this pattern. It doesn't begin with the people around you failing to notice. It begins much earlier. It begins with you. With every time you said, I'm fine, when you weren't. With every time you handled something alone, because asking for help felt harder than just doing it. With every time you showed up composed in a moment that deserved to be messy. You trained the people around you, not on purpose, but consistently. You train them to expect that you are fine. And once that training stopped, when it's completed, something shifts. It's not just that they stop asking. It's that you stop expecting them to. And then something even quieter happens. You stop knowing what you would say if they did. Because you've been managing your own experience for so long from the inside that you've lost touch with what you actually feel under it. The self doesn't disappear, it goes quiet. And the longer it stays quiet, the harder it becomes to hear it. That is not strength. That is what strength costs when no one ever asks you how you're doing. There's something else that happens when you've been the strong one for long enough. You start to need the role. Being needed becomes the way that you measure your value. Carrying becomes the way that you feel useful. And the moment someone tries to take the weight from you, instead of feeling relief, you feel purposeless. That is one of the most disorienting things about this pattern. The thing that is exhausting you is also the thing that makes you feel that you matter. And so you keep carrying, not just because no one else will, because you don't know who you are without it. That is not a character flaw. That is what happens when a role becomes an identity, when the line between who you are and what you provide has been invisible for so long that you've stopped looking for it. So what actually changes this? It's not learning to ask for help, though it's part of it. It's recognizing that your value was never contingent on your capacity to carry. That the strongest thing that you can do is not to absorb more. It's to get clear enough about what is actually yours to carry and what was never yours to begin with. Not from resentment, not from exhaustion, from clarity. The women who move through this pattern don't become less strong. They become strong in a way that is no longer quietly destroying them. If what I've talked about today is landing for you, I want to invite you into a space where you don't have to be the strong one who holds it all together. The Sovereign Queen movement is a free community of high-achieving women doing exactly this work. Women who understand what it costs to carry and who have decided to stop carrying it alone. The link to join is in the description below. The people who stopped asking were not wrong about you. You are strong. You do handle it. But strength was never meant to be a reason for no one to check on you. It was never meant to cost you the ability to feel your own needs. You are allowed to be the strong one and still need someone to ask. If this resonated, subscribe. There's more where this comes from. Understanding your pattern is the beginning of your power. No one owns you.